share.
All right. Pretty sure we're live. Welcome, everybody. Karen here and Tina from
Hi.
Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. We're here today popping in on a late night live to discuss. It's been a while. It's always been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while because we've just been so busy and YouTube isn't our priority. It's kind of like our extra space, to share things that are coming through when we have time. So,
Yes. So we have a couple of session stories that we wanted to share with you guys that we picked up. So as you can see, today's topic is about the metaverse. And for those of you who aren't aware of what the metaverse is, it's pretty much the newest uh, space where a lot of people they're really trying to get everybody to come into this fake world, like it's a type of virtual reality type place, pretty realistic to this world, except you have your own avatar. You can dress up your own avatar, make her or him look whatever you want, and you can do anything you want in this place. So I feel that the appeal of it would be that if you are stuck where you are and you don't have the right education, the right job, the right girl, whatever it is, the right car, you can get everything in this metal land. Um, so yeah, I think the ultimate goal, I guess I'll call them the controllers. We don't really know who's doing this, but the ultimate goal is to get everybody online here in this metaverse, living your new life as an avatar, to trick you into living forever. And also, but the disclaimer under it is that your consciousness will be trapped here.
hijacked.
Yeah, hijacked.
Yeah. The more energy and time you put into this virtual reality world, the more you literally become disconnected from your physical 3D form, and your consciousness starts to only live there in the metaverse. It's being created purposefully. What came through in our recent session with a client that we've talked about before, we've had a lot of really interesting information come through his consciousness. And the reason we were sparked to kind of look into this is because we saw that this was related to a shot clearing that we did for him after he had a booster. And after this booster, we saw that his consciousness was almost no longer anchored into this body at all. It actually, it looked like he'd moved out, right? Like you saw, like,
Yeah,
there were just like random things left behind, as if the consciousness had literally moved out of the body. And then you saw him trapped where?
he was in a glass rectangular box, not anything that looks like our usual matrix pod as you would imagine the matrix pod looking like, but it was a rectangular stand-up box, and his body was just in there, and he had wires going in.
The wires were everywhere, right? In the head, down the spine, down the arms, in the torso.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. Right. And so there wasn't much we could do in that session. This was the first time we had ever seen anything like this. And in checking in with his consciousness, he wasn't ready to let go, right? Or break that contract.
Yeah, it was so new to us that I had no idea how to go about it. It felt like he was a hard no, like, no, I'm here, I'm staying here, and I consented to this. And I was like, okay. The only reason why we were able to go back in for him was because I somehow got myself in this type of scenario too. So it's not to say like to give a background, like I didn't get any like
Right. So it can happen to non-injected people too.
right.
This is the danger of it. It's not just with people who are injected.
Yeah. So I would caught myself like, being on my phone all the time, like doing nonsense things, playing games, like old games that I used to play. Um, just picking it up all the time and not really being mindful, not being in my body, not being here. And yeah, it was causing like a disruption and a disconnect. I guess a disconnect that Tina was able to like really feel through because she was just like, what's wrong? There's something wrong. And I hadn't even noticed, but I had a lot of things that were going on in my life at the time. So I wasn't able to check in with myself because of all the events that were happening all at once. And I guess like also with the rise of all the things that were happening, especially with the COVID in Canada, um, yeah, I hadn't been able to, I was just kind of holding on. I was,
Like in survival mode.
yeah, I was in a survival space and I was really like, I just need to get here. And when I got here, I wasn't really all here. So, like, fast forwarding, I had to really come in and check in. And I had made like that decision to completely disconnect from social media. Um, like, I don't really use my phone anymore as much as I used to, just for like practical purposes. But no, I don't have the desire anymore. And it was just like a feeding an addiction or an empty space or whatever it was. Even the scrolling, just the habit of scrolling and looking and reading and finding or things like I don't have that desire to do so anymore, which is nice. But yeah, it kind of hooks into you in a way. And Tina was saying that I had like some kind of weird, what was it, like a personality change, I guess.
Yeah.
And it felt as though like when we had gone in, was it for him? I don't remember. Like
Yeah.
where we saw the what we'll call like the evil twin, but the evil twin is literally your avatar.
Right.
That they're downloading all your information to bring this avatar or creating like pulling out your consciousness to come into this evil twin avatar to go into the metaverse. So yeah, I don't know what else.
So the interesting thing about that session that we first referenced was that Karen didn't know this at the time, but I had come across some information. My higher self brings me information in like the craziest of ways. But in that session, we saw this person that was his consciousness was hijacked into the metaverse already, into this evil twin avatar being. We saw that he also attached to him or in his field was this dragon moth type being. So not what was it? It wasn't a normal like reptilian like we usually see. It was a reptoid type being with this like fan type thing around its head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't even talked to you about like the research I did into Omicron and the dragon moth reptilian beings. And so when she saw that, I was like, oh my God, this was like right around when Omicron was coming out, or, they started talking about it. I don't necessarily believe in variants at all. There's absolutely no way they can test for them and tell the difference between one thing and another. So Omicron means something else. And what I found was I was led back again to Ashiana Dean's work, and she talks about the Omicron draconians. Mm-hmm. And so that being that we saw connected to this person was an Omicron draconian. And those ones are very malevolent and in charge of the negative grids, and also seem to have some influence into the metaverse itself and helping to trap the consciousness or influencing people so that they spend more time on the social media. It's almost like they are training humans to become like the Greys.
Mhm.
Now, this is a choice point for humanity in whether you want to travel down that path that's being carved out and created for us, or you want to go against the grain and stay organic and stay source connected. Because it's very easy to slip into that and for your consciousness to get pulled out and trapped without you even realizing it, just like what was starting to happen with Karen, because she was so into the phone, even like cryptocurrency and like things like that, like even thinking about the metaverse and what that would be like and spending time there and all that kind of stuff. Because what we saw in the session was like, it's going to be a whole world. Like, it's going to be a whole world. Like everything we do here, we're going to be able to do there. So you can do business there, you know, buy land there, do banking, or like order pizza. Like everything is going to be inside this metaverse. And what they've been doing since the introduction of the internet is collecting our data in order to upload it into this system. This whole time, every single thing we do online, they are collecting and uploading, not only to make our own avatars, because we all have one there that has been already started, but to create the world as it is. So they're uploading our consciousness, uploading everything that we put into our cell phones and computers. um, what it said was that for this young man, and specifically, they were uploading his whole personality, predicting his reactions, how to appeal to the public popularity, the ability to hook into your deepest desires and capture addictive tendencies disguised as a fad, right? It's just like the cool new thing, virtual reality, but it's not a cool new thing. It's very dangerous. And but I'm being reminded of right now is someone, we were talking about this with a friend, and she sent me a picture of like um what they tell you it's going to be, which is like this super like amazing cosmic experience being in the virtual reality versus the actual reality of it, which is a person, you know, in the corner of their bedroom with the virtual reality headset on, you know, barely clothed with like their Uber Eats sitting next to them alone in isolation. And that's what they want. And that's what this whole COVID thing, the whole COVID thing is set up to usher in this new reality where you don't need to leave your house anymore. You can just at the click of a button order your groceries and, you know, get takeout food from your favorite restaurant, not having to leave your house.
I don't like that, to be honest.
Right. And it's easy. People like easy. People don't like to do the hard things. I heard a quote once recently. I think you heard it too. And what was it? It was something about people that do
The hard things.
the hard things.
Have an easy life.
People that do the hard things have an easy life, and people that do the easy things have a hard life. And that's really true, because the hard thing is not to fall into that groove where you're, you know, ordering food on Uber Eats or, you know, getting takeout from your favorite restaurant and never having to leave your home. That's what the whole lockdown and everything was for.
I feel attacked.
To say we can't have balance, right? Like
Right.
there's balance. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about finding balance, even with like virtual reality. Of course, there's probably in the future, there's probably going to be a time and place to use it, but it's like in moderation with everything else. Just like you're using, I hope that you're using social media in moderation right now, and not to just, you know, drown out your sorrows or just for distraction, to be distracted from real life, which I imagine that a lot of people do. But back to the Omicron thing. So these beings are in charge of ushering us into this new age and creating this, what we've seen in our sessions is this hive mind of humanity across globally. This web is being created specifically with the introduction of the the shots, and the nanotechnology that people are carrying. And not only are the people who have received the shots carrying it, but it's spreading. It's spreading to people who haven't received it as well.
Mhm.
So we're all being connected into this worldwide web, this hive mind, this consciousness, and you have to be able to consciously pull yourself out of that and disconnect yourself, because you will very easily get swept up in it and by the time you realize it, it's too late. So this is why we're like putting out this information now while it's still early and you still have the chance to make these decisions, and to have the awareness to spend. Literally what came through in our surrogate session last night was to use your phone for phone calls, and that's it. Like to buy like a flip phone, and to spend the least amount of time you can on the phone as possible. They are literally tricking people into consent for this through the fine print in the terms and conditions of like when you download an app. Nobody reads through those things. And if you notice lately, they've all been updating their terms and conditions. They'll say like, as of January 1st, we're changing our terms and conditions. If you still want to comply with that.
Oh, some of them say nothing on your part.
What do you mean?
Like I got a couple like in the email saying that our terms and conditions are updating as of so-and-so date, but then it says, but nothing to do on your part. We're just letting you know we're updating it since you've agreed already.
Right.
And here, if you want to look at it, but no one wants to read it.
No one reads it. No one reads it.
I do.
And I've seen like people pointing out, like people that do actually read it and go through it, say that there's actual permissions in there for this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like permission for this kind of hive mind, if you want to call it that, or whatever is happening. It's wild. So, every click that you make on your laptop or phone or gadget, whatever device you're using, it's being uploaded into the AI. It's being uploaded into the metaverse, and they are creating this evil twin type avatar of you. So what happened with Karen was this evil twin that was being created started to blend with her here now. And that was the energy that I was feeling. That's what was feeling off. So when we found that and disconnected her, then she had to consciously anchor into the organic world again and consciously choose to stop, using the technology and really anchor into reality.
Well, you said my personality changed like the next day.
Yeah.
No, like it was a.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild, the shift in energy. And what's crazy is like all the stuff that we're seeing in our sessions. Like I actually came across an article by Lisa Renee that she wrote in 2020. And she talks all about the Omicron draconian dragon moth beings and the hive mind and the consciousness and all of the stuff that we're seeing now. She had and the evil twin avatars, all of it was in that article. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So I'm going to have to link that. But so our feeling is that the Omicron is the next stage in the implementation of the metaverse. So because it's no coincidence that they happen to kind of come out at the same time into the public eye, like the Omicron variant and the metaverse kind of just appeared in our reality at the same time. And I do not believe that's a coincidence. I think the Omicron is a code word for the next stage in their development of the metaverse and the hijacking of humanity's consciousness. And it can be done. It's being done right now. If someone is not aware of it, they could already be 50% trapped there, like what we saw with our client. So when we went back in for the surrogate session, we saw that he wasn't completely gone. It was like about 50% of his consciousness had been
A little more, actually.
more
Yeah.
had been taken over to this evil twin avatar in the metaverse. So it's pretty wild. Like, just to even hear myself say these things just sounds so ridiculous, but it's real. It's happening.
And trust me, when I'm like I started using blackout masks like for readings and stuff. So I don't, all my sensory stuff is just like shut down. And yeah, like it's always the same thing. Every time we get into a reading and I see something funny or different, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to say this. But you just do. And we just hope that the client or whoever's receiving the information is going to be like, cool. But we try to give as much detail as possible so that at least to paint a picture of what we're dealing with or to better understand. She's really good. Tina's really good at investigating more, like asking more questions, like to give a little more details in case to fill in more blanks, because sometimes what I'm giving is not enough because I see it, but she might not see it,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good at digging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we saw is that people are consenting through the fine print in the terms and conditions of their apps. Also just being plugged in using the phones. It's uploading all of your preferences, gathering your identity via the ads that they send you, social media. They're using the camera to look at you, to download things like a retinal scan, your face features, using things like the 10-year challenge. Like those things are being put out purposefully as a way to what's it called? Gather subtle changes in you from year to year to create an algorithm to know what you'll look like in the future. That's something specific that came through last night. Like those things are put out on purpose by the people that are controlling the system in order to upload more into the metaverse and collect more data. So they're basically getting people to consent to immortality in this avatar. This avatar will be immortal and your consciousness will be trapped there. And it brings me back to where somewhere in the Bible, I think it's in Revelation, where it says that people will be begging to die and they won't be able to die. And this is why, because the consciousness is going to be trapped and won't be able to die, to transition. It'll be trapped in this fake world. It's like a matrix inside a matrix. Where they think they're avoiding, it's all about avoidance of this world. Everybody wants to avoid everything, right? It's avoidance, distraction. Nobody wants to deal with what's going on inside of them in their inner world. So everyone's just trying to escape the pain and they're escaping into this fake world. And right now it might just be, social media and apps and games and things like that. But very soon it's going to be a world of virtual reality where it is possible for your consciousness to be trapped there. Yeah, so they're uploading all of everything in there, selling this beautiful thing like the metaverse to people who are miserable. And it sounds like a good thing and it's easy, right? It's the easy thing to do. The ultimate intention of the people creating this system is to cut us off from source and trap us in this inorganic world, to feed the false world. And literally the quote that came through was to feed off our rotting flesh. To feed off our rotting flesh. So while we're sitting here in the corner of our bedroom with a VR set on, our consciousness somewhere in a fake reality, any entity will be able to slip in and use this body for their own purposes. This is the next level in their plan because of the consciousness rising and needing new ways to get in to use humanity and feed off humanity for their own purposes. This is the next level. So they will be giving rewards for the more time and energy that you spend there, the more money you spend there, you will be getting rewards. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I don't think I didn't say it, right? Or
You didn't really say it.
no. From my understanding, it's like you start off, I guess, with like meta money, or you have to gain meta money by living there. And actually, if you were to build your own business or whatever you want to do, buy a house, buy a whole complex and then rent out the space to people that are coming in later on, because it's going to be like life where people just buy stuff and then you either rent it or you live in it, blah, blah, blah. And so people are going to have to pay you money, and it's going to be real money. So that's the incentive also. So if you're a nobody in this life and you have nothing going for you, this is the place to be, because you're going to be able to make a life for yourself by coming in and being the big investor and the big shot, blah, 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 whatever it is that people desire here, to be seen, to be something. I feel like in my understanding too, like when I was like trying to dig more in, like about how they die over there, if they do die, it's like as if they're going to lose everything and start over again. So even if, let's say, you built a life and it's really shady and shitty, you can't just reset, because then you'll lose everything that you built from day one. So then they'll want you to stay in misery, or like at least in the long term. So you could give it up, but then after that you come, like, what, you've been in there for like 10 years and then you come into real life and you're like, holy shit, like I don't have a job. Yeah, it's kind of a trap. It's an entrapment system.
Yeah, it's the next level of enslavement for humanity.
Yeah.
The next level of enslavement.
Oh yeah, and I was seeing too, like if you're to order food over there, then they'll actually deliver it to your door. So you can take an eat break, but it's like for real. But you have to order it over there.
Right. Yeah. Which again is like, it's almost like they're training us, they're programming us with like the Uber Eats and the DoorDash and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all a programming. Like it's been a very slow implementation of this up until now. And now it's really speeding up with the introduction of COVID. That's exactly the catalyst. That was the catalyst they needed for this to push us as humanity. They needed fear, right? And they needed to create fear. So they used COVID as a way to create this fear, to make people want to stay in their homes and not go anywhere, to make people want to work from home, using their computers, doing school from home. All of that is a way to push in us into this new age of transhumanism, where we're literally living in isolations within our own spaces, not connecting physically anymore with people, but just being isolated in our homes, working from home, doing school from home, and gaming from like injecting ourselves into this metaverse now. It is the next level of enslavement. It has nothing to do with organic human love and connection or anything organic and real. It's all fake. Oh, there's 5 people here. Hi, guys. Anyone want to say hello?
No.
Let me see. So I asked, like, is it possible to use the metaverse or use virtual reality without getting trapped there? And the answer is yes, of course it is, but it takes mindfulness. It takes your consciousness to be mindful of your decisions and the choices that you're making, not spending 10 hours there, maybe an hour here, an hour there, as needed. But they did say that the younger generations are more at risk for the consciousness trapping because they're already disconnected. They've been born into this technology, right? I mean, babies have iPads in their hands now when they're 6 months old. And that's just part of their life. Whereas the older generations, like at least our generations, like we remember playing outside till the street lights went on and, riding our bikes and doing whatever we wanted. Like we knew what organic, real play was. The kids these days really don't. They don't really play outside anymore. Everyone's inside gaming and Snapchatting and doing whatever on their phones.
Yeah. We send our kids out. We've also limited their amount of time online or watching things, or at least adult approved content. My son was watching some videos on YouTube and whatnot, because he's really into drawing, and he it was like a guy who would draw superheroes, but also like demons too. And we were trying to get him to understand that, you can't really watch things like this because these things are real. Would you understand what we do? I go, this is the kind of stuff that we're clearing out. It's those beings, those things. And he's like, oh, they're not real, it's just the whatever. Couldn't understand the concept. And what was really cool was that I was able to put him in a mini hypnosis journey before he went to bed. And I got him to walk this path, and there was a box waiting for him. And when he went in the box, there was a thing of goggles on. So I go, put on the goggles, and what's the first thing that you see? And the first thing that he sees are 3 dark beings.
Yeah, these tall shadow beings.
Yes. So I'm like, well, so now you see it. So these are things that are in your consciousness, things that you are packing in there. I go, but we're accessing that information, so you know that they are real. He did have an amazing journey otherwise, but it was just really good to see, or for him to understand that part, how easy it is to create, and for them to come and invite them in to your space. So yeah, they've been playing outside a lot. And today I think I saw them. They had a stick and they're just hitting ice. And I was like, oh my God, these kids don't know how to play. But then our daughter said, she's like, oh, I go, what are you guys doing there? I saw you guys hitting. And she's like, oh yeah, we're making a chair, actually a toilet. I'm like, okay. So, just let them play. I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. What I wanted to say about that too is that when he did see the shadow beings, we were able to walk him through how to clear them. So that was really empowering for him too, to know that he has the power to use his light to clear these beings out of his path. And angels showed up and, the whole deal. So it was a really good lesson for him in understanding, the darkness and the light, and that, where our attention flows, our energy goes too. So we're drawing those things into our consciousness all the time. So yeah, that was really cool for him to see. And a lot of kids are really sensitive like this and are experiencing these dark shadow-like beings. But that's another video. We're kind of focused on the metaverse right now. But we will talk about that because a lot of kids are really struggling with that right now, and the ramp up of these intense energies. Yeah, so our client did consent to the metaverse via this fine print consent through apps or whatever. They also take advantage of sub-personalities, it seemed like. Can you explain that?
Trying trying to think. So, like in the uploading process?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, from what I was gathering, instead of, you know, hijacking everyone at this now moment, they're able to take these types of targeted individuals, such as our client. And so, because he's been through a lot of traumas, highly sensitive, has been
Abducted.
and among other things. So his personalities has been split multiple times. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
personalities within that were
Like
created.
Fractured.
Yeah, exactly. So they're able to upload all of those subpersonalities, so their preferences, their everything, as if it's a completely alone individual, like everything.
Separate.
Yeah, separate, and downloading all of that stuff, that information. So to create multiple I guess avatars that you can pick of yourself, I guess, which I thought was weird, because then I'm like, oh yeah. I think because like I think what they showed me was like, okay, if he wants to be, you know, himself, he can be himself. But then if he happens to find himself like, I don't know, at a bar fight, I don't know if that's what I said, he can pick the avatar that is created to
Fight. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like having alters, like alternate personalities. So with the uploading, you know, they were uploading, you know, his preferences, his memories, even his internal dialogue. They were uploading into this system. And there were papers and papers and papers, like transcripts of conversations that he had had with every single person he's ever come in contact in his life, plus all of his thoughts, all the thoughts that he's ever had were all being uploaded into this evil twin avatar. And this, I asked how, and it was all, you know, accessed via the subconscious. So I asked, how does the system have access to our subconscious? So not only do they do it through this physical means, like as we're using the technology to upload and feeding the algorithm, feeding the AI, all of our information, you know, plus they're listening, that came through too. They're listening to our conversations through the microphone. They're using the camera to scan our faces, right? And our eyes.
Your eyes, looking for your, you know, they see your temperature, your mood, what you're feeling. Yeah, so they could pretty much read you as an overall individual and understand your personality and know exactly when you're vulnerable, so they can probably advertise something to you that you need to buy or to make you feel better or peppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really like technology is manipulating us now. Like we've lost control over it. It is just completely manipulating us. And that's a really scary place to be, because it feels like we're very close to the singularity. And the singularity is when, you know, AI kind of takes over.
Hi, Maureen.
Oh, Maureen's here.
And Van. And Miss Nick 59.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for letting us know you're here.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Comment down
below. What was I saying?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, so I was asking how are they gaining access to the subconscious? So not only through the technology, but through the nanotechnology that is in our systems, is able, especially with the COVID-V, is able to feed our data, whatever's happening here in our bodies, minds, feed that back to the system. This is part of the implementation of the whole program. This is why they're forcing it so hard, because they need not only to hurt people, which I think is part of it too, but they need the data. They need our data to feed the system.
Mm-hmm.
So the nanotechnology, yes, it's in the shots. And people are being injected with it, you know, straight up injected with it. But it's also been in our regular vaccines since I think at least the 90s, if not before. And it's also falling from the skies all the time. It's now in our food. It's pretty much everywhere. So we all have it inside of us. And this technology is feeding back to the metaverse, to this system, to this collective worldwide web hive mind, all of the data that's coming from our subconscious minds and our bodies to create this whole fake world. Right. So that's how the non-vaccinated people's information is getting there, like Karen, for instance. And you also saw that there were overlays in the computers. Talk about that.
Yeah. The overlays, like I called it spyware. I don't know if that's the actual term for it, but it was like as if they can gather all the things that you're searching for. So even if that's outside of Google, let's say you take like another type of search engine that's a little safer, that protects you, there is an overlay on top of it that is still looking at what you're looking for. So even if it's counteracting exactly what it's trying to protect you from or something, you know? So it's sneaky. Everything is just sneaky.
Yeah.
They just come in here and they just bombard your space and you have no idea that they're in your space and gathering everything. And also the thing that we also gathered too was that if you're a person who doesn't really use social media, they're going to get you by using someone else who may be around who does use social media. So, I mean, if she's not on her phone and I'm on mine's gathering our conversation. So it's taking our transcripts.
Yeah.
And this dance.
Taking our video.
Yeah. It's gathering us, scanning us, looking at what we're feeling, like really deepest to your soul. And yeah, it's really creepy.
Yeah, even our everyday movements, it's tracking us, where we're going, what we're doing.
Yeah, it's like reminding me of like when you went to a Walmart and all you felt were like, didn't you say like you're just getting shot all the time by these frequencies or whatever? Just like,
yeah, I can't go there anymore. Walmarts are so bad with the technology. Literally, there's about a zillion cameras in there and they're just zapping you with frequencies. They literally zap you when your hand reaches up for an object now. They zap you with the frequency and it shows up on a camera or something. I don't know. It's weird. I can't go in there. I leave there just feeling so sick and discombobulated and like can't think because it's radiation poisoning. That's what's happening. So, let me just make a note.
Did we talk about that? Oh, no.
Did we talk about that?
We did get sick. We did talk about
We did talk about that in our last video, but I wanted to talk about it again because it's happening to a lot of people, but we'll save that for the end. So yes, so we all have this stuff in us, and the chemicals that we've also been bombarded with have been purposeful to keep the population sick and docile and in compliance with all of these things, right? That's why you see people so easily complying with all these government restrictions and mandates because they are toxic. Their brains are toxic. They cannot fully think for themselves anymore because of the chemical buildup inside the bodies and the metals, the heavy metals. And that was purposeful. That was done purposefully. And yeah, so the blueprints for all this were created a long time ago for the metaverse. Like with the introduction of the internet, this was always the plan. They just needed the avatars, right?
Yeah, and downloading all the information to fill in the blanks.
Right. So they need to upload. So that's what they've been doing since the introduction is collecting all of our information to be able to form these avatars that then function.
Right. And they were doing tests on him too. So to see what they've uploaded so far and then kind of place him in a meta scenario, I guess, to see how his avatar would he be able to have things accessible to him in order to function in that space. Right. And then kind of troubleshoot from there if it didn't work out. So they
Right.
gather more information, or how could we, like, it's going at rapid speed.
Mm-hmm. So what you'll notice, and this is important. So what you'll notice is if this is happening to you or someone that you know or love, is that you'll start to really feel the disconnection between you. Like you won't be able to fully connect anymore. You might notice like really odd behavior. You might even be experiencing the odd behavior yourself and not knowing why you're feeling or doing certain things. What else?
I don't know. You tell me.
They just won't feel right to you. And I don't know, like a lot of people describe some of their loved ones that have had the vaccine in this way, that they feel different, that they feel off, that they feel disconnected.
All of that. Yes. I've been saying that from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost the same kind of feeling here with the evil twin takeover, the avatar takeover. It's the same feeling because it's
not their true essence.
It's
Like
it's
there's a
it's an
hijacking.
invader. Yeah, it's like there's an invader there, and there really is. It's an imposter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there is good news because we found a way to retrieve the consciousness and disconnect from this system.
Yes.
Right?
Because I had to do it to myself.
Right.
Because the first time we found this out about him, our client, it felt so devastating because I was like, I don't know what we could do for him anymore. I think it's finished, because we had been working with him for quite some time now. And then we hit this block and we're like, what the hell was all that for?
Right. It felt like it was all for nothing.
Yeah. Right. So then when I caught myself in kind of in transition into this space, I had to go and retrieve myself. And I did see myself in the stand-up box. Mm-hmm. And I worked with our guides to disconnect me. The thing that I was worried about, I think, in the disconnection was maybe that there was going to be some fail safes or anything like that. But the guides had gotten their, I don't know, they knew what to do. So they had to unplug me. It was like unplugging my crown. There was 4 things in my crown that were coming for me. So there's, it was a different space than what we had seen our client in versus where I was, because it felt like it was a maybe non-chemically induced, or it's like secondary chemicals.
Oh, like secondary.
Yeah, like it was a secondary transition. Because I had been around so many people that had the V.
Yeah.
So much that I was probably infested with, multiple, I don't know. It was probably because from my understanding too, when I was asking the guides, I'm like, what's going on? Like, how is this happening? Apart from the secondary stuff, I already have chemicals inside. So my chemicals were all like up, happy, like, all right, let's party. And so they were all interacting, and therefore it was easy for me, or to pave the way for my consciousness to depart, and so that to start the uploading process.
Mm-hmm. Well, also too, what I was reminded of is when we got sick in November. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was part of it too. Mm-hmm. With the activation of the heavy metals and the chemicals. Yes. The activation of those frequencies that the radiation poisoning.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that was just happening all at the same time. And, you can't even put your finger on it because it's just everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Which is always the case, because it's never just one thing. It's everything.
Right.
That's all we've been finding out. I'm like, well, this could be it too. And this is also the same thing, because it's all, the vibrations are just matching. And so it's all coming out in the ways that they are. Yeah.
So I asked why our client was one of the first to be uploaded into the metaverse, and they said that they pick really highly sensitive people that are easy to traumatize, that have already been traumatized, that have subpersonalities, that have multiple subpersonalities with all of these different views. And
just got something.
What?
remember what you just said. No, I'm just like, like how we said, how do we pick? I think that's relative to the contracts with the SSP.
The targeted individuals.
Correct, Amundo. Why did I say that?
Yeah, I think you're totally right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's it. It has to be. It has to be it. It has to be SSP contracts. That's definitely part of the whole targeted individual. So if you don't know what a targeted individual is, it's someone that is being targeted by some secret forces. There's a lot of activity that happens. They're not only are they targeted by entities, but they're also being targeted by this voice to skull technology or the voice of God. And they are tortured, like physically tortured by these frequencies. So they will be given orders, like they will hear this voice in their head, given orders to follow through with a certain thing in their actual physical reality. Like if you don't do this thing right now, then there will be consequences. And the consequences is they're usually shocked somehow with some kind of energy weapon within their body. Even they will even threaten their loved ones. So they'll say, if you don't do this right now, I'm going to, something's going to happen to your grandma or whatever it is. There's about like probably less than 1% of the population that this is happening to, but it is very real. They do have the technology for this. They're way past this as far as technology goes. But this is very real. And, these people will experience weird things like break-ins in their home, their technology being hijacked and things like that. Like the client that we're speaking of, they had like 2 separate break-ins in their home. And the one break-in they had, they only took his cell phone. So that was really odd. So not only has this poor guy been, abducted by human alien, SSP kind of secret shadow government stuff, but he's been a targeted individual, and now his consciousness has been uploaded into the metaverse. And, this caused a huge change for him because he was actually making some progress and then had this huge backslide after he got the booster. And the booster was what allowed his consciousness to boost out of the body and into the metaverse. Like,
Wild.
Boost. They don't use that word for no reason. It's literally a boost out of the body. Like all of the wording that they use in, the media it means something different than what they're telling you that it means. Especially the Omicron thing that roots right back to those Omicron draconians and the whole thing. I'm going to link that article down below so you guys can read it. I'm not going to go through it all, but it's basically all the things that we're talking about. So, okay. We talked about how you saw him in the box with the blue lights and the wires and all that. Oh, and then there were these robots there too. Tell them about the robots.
The robots look like the C-3PO from Star Wars, the gold robots. Yeah, some of them are silver too.
Oh, he's the gold one. I was thinking of the little
vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
the actual tall one.
Oh.
That's R2-D2.
Oh, okay. I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
I just know those two. Okay. For a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were around, but they were just kind of like worker bees that were, overseeing like the uploading and seeing how everything is going, checking the algorithms, and then if they felt that they had enough information, then they would put him or put her into the meta just to see how the avatar was functioning with the uploads that they have received.
Yeah. So it seems like that place where what?
No, go.
So it's okay. So it seems like that place where he was kind of like a holding place, or he was in a holding phase, not fully integrated into the metaverse yet, because it's not fully ready, but kind of holding and testing.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was seeing too, like, because they were accessing all their memories and blah blah blah, and transcripts of the conversations, they're able to bring back recall memory. You know how we see flashbacks in TV?
Mm-hmm.
They can do that there.
What do you mean?
You know how they show you flashbacks?
Yeah.
Like they'll go back and like you'll see the scene.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they upload everything.
Right. So they could just bring it forward
Yeah.
whenever they want.
Yep.
So that's the thing. Like, you're not in complete control of your own avatar over there, right? Like, they can do whatever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you glitch, it's like, I don't know. That sucks.
Oh, and so also in the metaverse, there's going to be NPCs.
Oh yeah. Non-player, what are they?
Characters.
Thank you.
Non-player characters or background people. What is it? A non-source player, some people call them.
Do you want a mochi?
No.
Okay. Neither.
So these will be like personality types of people that will be in the metaverse with the source consciousness players, I guess. Like, like subtypes of people, like, the tough guy or the shy girl, or different versions of these archetypes of people with different features and things like that. So it'll really be like a mimicked creation of the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said they're smart, right?
Yeah, you said they were really highly intelligent too, these NPCs.
Yeah, because then they'll be able to create an inorganic consciousness or something like that.
Oh, right. So they'll be able to
interact and have their own preferences, like creating their own algorithm based on, I guess, if let's say you become friends with one of them, then they can morph themselves into what you're doing, or not what you're doing, but like the environment, and learn how to pick what they want and then gather that and be like, oh, I do like strawberry sherbet, things like that.
But that's kind of how it works in this reality with NPCs. They can become source players.
Can?
Yeah. Right?
No.
Just like that movie?
Oh, no, not source players.
Not source players.
And not source players, but they just have their own consciousness to recreate themselves, to have their own everything.
Okay, so
but it's not organic.
Oh, it's not organic.
I don't take it as organic. That's not organic. I don't find that's organic. No. We'll take a poll. Let us know if you think that's organic or not. I don't.
I thought that, I think Dolores said that too, or it may have been Dolores said that the NP, or it was in one of her sessions, that they said that the NPCs could learn enough or grow or learn and evolve enough to become source players, but I could be wrong.
Well, maybe here in the organic world.
Right.
Yes, but not, sorry, maybe like I'm thinking about this. I'm like, I don't think that's organic at all. But they're, yes, mimicking. However, it's not organic.
Right.
Because you're there.
Right. No, that's not organic, but I meant here.
Maybe. I guess if you're lucky enough to get like a good angel that's going to hijack your body, right? I don't know about this world. I'm skeptical.
I don't know. So our guides so we ended up unplugging him, retrieving his consciousness, which took a while. It wasn't a quick process.
And we didn't finish. When we finished the session, we weren't finished.
Right.
So we have to check in.
We have to actually go back and check in. I think we got like 50 it was like over 50% by the time we left. And the guides went into the metaverse computer, deleted all of the info and data that they had on him. They actually said that it wasn't safe to unplug him at that time. For what reason?
I guess because they have to make sure that they have deleted all the data. Because I think even after the avatar is deleted, they still have their data.
Right.
So they just want to make sure that was the final deletion of just the empty vessel.
So they deleted all the data and then they'll delete the avatar. Yeah, because they even had information on him from age 0 to even beyond his age now.
Utero too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beyond his age now, like I think they deleted to infinity because it's like you're not dying there.
Right.
Or you're, I don't know if you have any, if it's like Super Mario and you get a mushroom, get bigger, get the green mushroom, you have an extra life. Like, I don't know how it works, to be honest. Like, haven't been able to gather that much data, but I mean, it seems that you have the opportunity to, I guess, start over again, but you have to start from scratch again. You don't keep your metadollars or your cryptocurrency. That's what I think it is.
Interesting. Yeah, they were predicting his future potentials and patterns.
Maureen, that's what we're talking about. Free guy. Exactly. I watched that in the theater with my kids and I was like, oh, look, NPCs. But I had no idea that it was anything about the meta. So they are inserting these ideas and implanting these ideas that these non-player characters are going to be able to morph. So, I mean, if we think about it, they're implying, they make it look like they're humans, but they're all artificial intelligence. Very highly, highly intelligent robots.
Yeah. So you can have a mochi. So I guess the point of saying all this is just to say, limit your technology, your time spent with technology as much as possible, and be very mindful of, I guess, how much you're using it, where you're using it, even going through like the permission for each of the apps that you use. I was actually being, someone was hacking into my like Facebook and Messenger, and I would get these notifications that there were like overlays, like someone was recording what I was doing. I had to go through each of my apps, and it was like Karen was saying, like there was some kind of overlay, and someone was really watching what I was doing and recording it. Karen's having a snack.
Emotionally
eating. So I had to go through each of my apps and take all the permissions away. I mean, there are apps that literally have access to your camera, your microphone, all kinds of stuff that they don't even need access to. Like I couldn't take a picture on Snapchat the other day without giving them access to my microphone. Like, how does that even make any sense?
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cleanup to be done as far as that's concerned, like not using those apps anymore. And like you even said the filters and things are all pre-programming for what the metaverse is going to be.
Yeah, I guess like upgrading your avatar,
like the Bitmojis and things like that too. They're like a pre-programming for what's coming. And this is really to usher us into a timeline where we ultimately become like the Greys, which are a divergent path that humanity has taken, where we went down this road into transhumanism, becoming disconnected from our true essence, from our true source self, to the point where we have no emotional body anymore. We have no womb to be able to even recreate because we've isolated ourselves and become disconnected and connected into this hive-like mentality where we're no longer individuals. There's a difference between like we're all one, like in this spiritual sense, to
We're all one.
we're all yeah, like thinking the same thoughts and doing the same things. Like that's what they ultimately want. And it's the 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 term that came through in the session was the collective enslavement program. And that's also being induced and magnified by the satellites, the 5G, and all of this increase in technology. They even have fake wombs now where they're growing babies in. I mean, if that's
Sweet.
not insane, I don't know what is. I mean, they're really playing God, and it's a scary time for humanity. Also, something I thought was interesting that came through here too was the our client has like escalations in his behavior and outbursts like in the evening time. And what came through there was that's because everyone is home at that time and the internet activity goes up. So when the internet activity goes up, the frequencies are blasting more and becoming thicker. You see them like they're thicker, right? And because he's so sensitive, they're affecting him more. And that's why he has the outburst in the evening. But you might notice even that you feel more tired or maybe irritable or have more fatigue. I get hot flashes as soon as the sun goes down. I start to get really bad hot flashes. And it's probably because of the ramp up in the frequencies. Yeah. So ultimately, as far as the metaverse is done, just, be careful, monitor yourself, make sure that you're always checking in, looking inward and not so much outside of you, but being present and mindful with the use of technology and really always checking in with yourself to make sure you're okay and that your consciousness isn't hijacked into the metaverse. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask, or any comments, anything you want to add to that.
Me?
You and them.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry you couldn't stay, Van. Hope you come back to watch again. We wanted to talk about more info that we found on the reincarnation trap too, right?
Yeah. Or we could make that a part 2.
Should we make that a part 2?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of information here.
Okay. I don't want to overload people.
No, we'll make that into part 2 because that's something else, but it all comes together in the big, grander scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really interesting thing, and I felt a lot more hope from that session. I guess getting an understanding him more on another level because, well, we've been working with him for so long. So I mean, putting his whole
Picture
together.
What's interesting too is that his mom said that he's always kind of had an aversion to technology, that he has like a Facebook and Instagram but doesn't use it. Plays an Xbox game once in a while, watches a YouTube video once in a while, but other than that, like he doesn't even watch TV. He actually took his TV down and put it under the bed, and so there's something within him that I think knows, like his higher knowing kicked in there. Yeah, so that was really interesting. And the amazing part about it is he went from having these big outbursts, and today he was really super calm, which is the best part. So
yeah, we like hearing about that. There was a shift.
Yeah. So the work that we did,
These are big
Took
things, you
effect.
know, for this family.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Just the fact that he was
He had a
calm
good
today.
day.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. All righty.
well, thank you everyone who came. Yeah, just continue to like us, because you know what's not to like. Subscribe, comment, let us know you're here. The live chat's going to be closing, but at least put in the comments that you're here. We always like to know who's coming in and, you know, seeing us. We're getting a lot of subscribers, so it's a little creepy. Scary, I mean.
Creepy. It is a little scary. I like being low key, you know, like
I know, we should have a cap, 200.
we're over.
Yeah, I know. But we appreciate all of you that have taken the time to subscribe and hit the notification. So, you know, letting us know that you're here and you saw us on live at like way past your bedtime, way past my bedtime. That's not true. We've been sleeping really late. But anyway.
Well, Maureen's in Australia, so just in time for her. It's like 16 hours, right?
Yeah, and I'm not good at math, so I don't know
That's
what
like
time that is.
Probably
5
PM. Evening. Yeah.
Right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bedtime for her yet.
Soon. It's dinner time. So Maureen, be aware of those frequencies that they're blasting on you right now, actually, while everyone's coming home. So place protection, create a Faraday cage, look that up. Aluminum, your body. I don't know.
Just put your tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. Set your intention.
There are really good what do they call it? EMF shielding devices and technologies out there now. I actually bought this like blanket thing. It's just like a piece of cloth, really.
Oh, okay. I was just like, you don't put me under this blanket.
No, it's on the router.
Yeah, no, that I saw.
It's on the router.
Like a blanket. Why are you not telling me?
525, she said.
All right. Well, you have a good evening, Maureen, and everyone else that has come today. We love and appreciate you, and we send you all of our best. And we hope that the information either resonates or helps, at least in understanding what is going on. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And we send you on your way. So we're just going to sign off here in the US and sending you all of our love. And we'll see you all next time on the next episode.
See you next time. I hope it's not too long like this one was.
Like all of them.